What would you do if you found a wallet stuffed with more cash than you make in a year? Most people would hesitate. Some would keep it, but one broken, exhausted single dad in Chicago made a choice that nobody saw coming. And it didn't just change his life. It cracked his whole world wide open. Marcus Hayes was not having a good year. Actually, that's being kind. Marcus was not having a good 5 years. Since his wife Sarah passed away from a sudden heart attack when their daughter, Lily, was just 3 years old. Marcus had been doing everything alone. Cooking, cleaning, school drop-offs, late-night fevers, grocery runs on a budget so tight it made his chest hurt just thinking about it. He worked as a maintenance worker at a downtown Chicago office building. Nothing glamorous. He wore a gray uniform, carried a toolbox, and most days the people walking past him in the lobby didn't even look up from their phones. To them, he was invisible. Just another guy doing a job nobody thinks about until the lights stop working. Lily was now 8, and she was the best thing Marcus had ever seen in his life. Smart as a whip, obsessed with dinosaurs, and she had this laugh. This big, uncontrollable, full-body laugh that made Marcus forget, even for just a second, how tired he really was. But love doesn't pay rent. And Marcus was 2 months behind. His landlord, Mr. Peterson, had already slid a notice under the door twice. Marcus had been picking up extra shifts, skipping meals, selling things around the apartment he didn't absolutely need. He sold his guitar. He sold his TV. He even sold the little blender. Sarah used to make smoothies every Sunday morning. That one hurt. He had a plan, though. He always had a plan. Work hard, stay honest, keep going. That's what his mother told him. That's what he told Lily every single night before she went to sleep. Or, Daddy, what if things don't get better? Lily asked him one evening, sitting at their small kitchen table with a half-eaten peanut butter sandwich in front of her. Marcus looked at her and smiled. The kind of smile that takes every last drop of energy a person has. They always do, baby. They always do. He just didn't know how close he was to being right. It was a Tuesday in November, cold enough to hurt your face the second you stepped outside. Marcus had just finished a double shift and was walking to the bus stop. Head down, hands deep in his jacket pockets. The kind of tired where your feet feel like concrete and your brain is just done. That's when he saw it. A wallet, sitting right there on the sidewalk outside the building. Brown leather, thick, the kind that looks expensive even from 10 feet away. He stopped, looked around. The street was busy, but nobody was bending down. Nobody was patting their coat pockets in a panic. He picked it up. He opened it, and his heart almost stopped. There were credit cards, multiple, a driver's license, and cash, not a little cash, stacks of hundreds, folded neatly. Marcus stood there on that cold Chicago sidewalk and counted, his fingers shaking slightly from the cold or maybe from something else entirely. $4,200. $4,200. That was his rent, both months, plus groceries, plus Lily's school trip she had to miss last month, because he couldn't afford the $40 fee. His mind did the math instantly, automatically, like his brain had been waiting for this exact moment. He stood there for a long minute, just breathing. He thought about Lily's face when he told her she couldn't go on that school trip. How she said, "It's okay, Daddy," even though her eyes told a completely different story. He thought about the eviction notice, about the empty space on the wall where his guitar used to hang. And then he looked at the driver's license again. Victoria Marsh, age 52. The address listed was on Lake Shore Drive. Even someone who'd never been there knew what that meant. That was not a struggling neighborhood. Those were the buildings you looked up at from the bus window and wondered what it must feel like to live somewhere like that. He turned around and walked back into the building. He asked the front desk receptionist if they had a number for Victoria Marsh. The receptionist, a young woman named Dana, looked at him like he'd just asked something strange. "You found her wallet?" Dana said. "Yes," Marcus said. "All of it." "Everything inside." Dana stared at him for a second longer than felt comfortable, like she was trying to figure out if he was serious. She made a call. 30 minutes later, a black car pulled up outside, and out stepped a woman who walked like someone who had never once in her life wondered if she could afford something. Perfectly put together, long coat, silver hair pulled back, the kind of woman who fills a room just by entering it. Victoria Marsh. She walked up to Marcus and he held out the wallet. She took it, opened it, checked everything, and then she looked at him with these sharp green eyes that felt like they could see straight through a person. It's all there, Marcus said. I didn't take anything. I can see that, she said. Her voice was calm, controlled. Why? Marcus blinked. Why what? Why didn't you take anything? There's over $4,000 in here. You work maintenance in this building. I know what that pays. It wasn't said to be cruel. She was just being direct, honest, the way people are when they've been in boardrooms, their whole life and stopped bothering with small talk a long time ago. Marcus was quiet for a second. Because it wasn't mine, he said simply. Victoria looked at him. Really looked at him. The kind of look that lasts just a moment too long. She reached into the wallet and pulled out some bills and held them toward him. Marcus stepped back. Actually stepped back, like the money had teeth. No thank you, he said. Victoria's hand stayed in the air. Consider it a reward. You earned it. I didn't earn it, Marcus said. I just did what was right. I don't need a reward for that. She slowly lowered her hand. Something shifted in her expression. It was subtle, but it was there. What's your name? She asked. Marcus Hayes. She nodded once, got back in her car, and was gone, and Marcus walked to the bus stop. Got on the 22, rode home in the cold, and made Lily a grilled cheese sandwich for dinner, same as any other Tuesday, except it wasn't. 3 days later, Dana from the front desk came and found Marcus while he was replacing a light fixture on the 4th floor. Someone wants to meet with you, she said. Like officially, in the conference room. Marcus came down in his gray uniform, toolbox in hand, and walked into the nicest room in the building, the one he'd cleaned dozens of times, but never actually sat inside. Victoria Marsh was already there, along with 2 other people in suits who were clearly lawyers or assistants or both. Sit down, Marcus, Victoria said. He sat. I had my team look into you, she said. And before Marcus could react to that, she continued. I like to know who I'm dealing with. I know about your wife. I know about your daughter. I know about your situation with your landlord. Marcus felt something tighten in his chest. It wasn't anger exactly, more like the feeling of being seen in a way you didn't ask for. I'm not here to pity you, Victoria said, reading his face. I don't do pity. It's useless. She folded her hands on the table. But I do believe in people, and I haven't believed in someone the way I believe in you in a very long time. She slid a folder across the table. Marcus opened it. It took him a few seconds to understand what he was looking at. It was a job offer, not a maintenance job, a property management trainee position at Marsh Capital Group, a real salary, benefits, health insurance, a retirement plan, the kind of job that came with a future attached to it. His eyes moved to the number at the top of the offer letter. His hands started shaking, not from cold this time. I don't have any experience in, he started. I know, Victoria said. I didn't either when I started. I grew up in Englewood, Marcus. I know what this city does to people who don't have a way in. You have integrity. You can learn everything else. Integrity I cannot teach. Marcus sat very still for a long moment. He thought about Sarah, about how she used to say the universe has a funny way of balancing things out. He used to smile and nod when she said it. He wasn't sure he ever really believed it. He was starting to. Why are you doing this? He asked. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Then she said something he didn't expect. Because 23 years ago, I lost my wallet in the lobby of a building I was trying to get a meeting in. I had my whole life in that wallet. My last $100, my only ID, my bus pass. She paused. A janitor found it and turned it in. Every single dollar. I went back to thank him and he was already gone. I never got to. She looked at Marcus steadily. I've been looking for a way to close that circle for a long time. The room was very quiet. Marcus looked down at the folder, then back up at her. I have a daughter, he said. She's 8. I can't take risks that affect her. This isn't a risk, Victoria said. This is a door. You decide if you walk through it. He walked through it. The first few months were hard in the way that good things are hard. New environment, new language, not English, but the language of business, of contracts, of negotiations. Marcus learned fast, faster than anyone expected, because he had something a lot of people in those glass offices didn't have. He understood people, real people, people who needed a decent place to live and were scared of being taken advantage of. He started managing tenant relations for one of Marsh Capital's mid-size residential buildings on the north side. He answered calls himself. He remembered names. He followed up. He fixed problems before they became complaints. The tenants loved him. The building's satisfaction scores went up higher in 6 months than they had in the previous 3 years. Victoria noticed. Of course she noticed. Within 18 months, Marcus was promoted, then promoted again. He moved Lily into a better apartment, still modest. He wasn't flashy, but warm, safe, with a real bedroom for her and a little yard outside where she could run around. Lily started calling it the dinosaur house because she put a little plastic T-Rex on every windowsill. Marcus had stopped counting the days between paychecks. He hadn't realized how much mental energy that had been taking up until it was gone. But here's the part of this story that will stay with you. It was a Saturday evening about 2 years after that cold Tuesday on the sidewalk. Marcus was at Lily's school recital. She was playing the recorder, badly but joyfully, in a way that made every parent in the room smile. His phone buzzed. He silenced it. It buzzed again and again. After the recital, he checked it. It was Dana. 3 missed calls. And a text that said, "Why call me? It's about Ms. Marsh. It's urgent." Victoria had collapsed in her office that afternoon. A stroke. She was alive but in the hospital. And it was serious, and everything at the company was in a quiet kind of panic that happens when the person who holds everything together suddenly isn't there. Marcus drove to the hospital that night. He sat in the waiting room for 2 hours. He wasn't family. He had no reason to be there except that this woman had changed his life, and he wasn't the kind of person who forgot that. A nurse finally came out and told him Victoria was resting and that she had specifically asked, if Marcus Hayes was there. He went in. She looked smaller in a hospital bed. That's what he noticed first. This woman who walked into rooms like she owned them. She did own most of them. Actually, looked like a regular person, tired, a little scared maybe, though she would never say that. "You didn't have to come," she said. Her voice was slower than usual. "I know," Marcus said. He sat down in the chair beside her bed. "How are you feeling?" "Like I've been hit by a bus," she said dryly. Marcus almost laughed. Almost. "Your team is handling everything," he said. "The Lakeview project is on schedule. Don't worry about any of it." She looked at him for a long moment. "Do you know what I think about sometimes?" she said. "What?" "That janitor. The one who turned in my wallet." She was quiet. I wonder if he knew what that moment meant, whether he thought about it at all or just did the right thing and moved on. Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I think," he said slowly, "that he probably just did what felt right. Because that's what people do when they have good in them. They don't calculate it. They just act." Victoria looked at him. "Like you did," she said. Marcus nodded once. "Like you did too," he said. "When you gave a stranger in a gray uniform a chance." Something moved across Victoria's face. Not quite a smile, but close. They sat together in that quiet hospital room. 2 people from completely different worlds, connected by 2 small acts of basic human decency on 2 moments years apart, where someone chose honesty over convenience, chose to give instead of take, chose to see a person instead of walk past them. Lily, being 8 and completely fearless, walked right up to this tall, silver-haired woman after the show and said, "Are you the lady who gave my dad a job?" Victoria looked down at her. "I am." Lily thought about this for a second. "Thank you," she said. "He smiles more now." Victoria didn't say anything for a moment. Then she said very quietly, "So do I." Marcus Hayes is now a senior director at Marsh Capital Group. He bought his first property last year, a small 2-flat in the neighborhood he grew up in, which he rents out to 2 young families at below market rate because he remembers what it felt like to count days until the rent was due. He still keeps Sarah's photo on his desk. He tells Lily about her every single day. He coaches her soccer team on Saturday mornings, and he is, by all accounts, a terrible coach but an excellent dad. And sometimes on a cold November morning when he's walking into work, he passes the exact spot on that sidewalk where he found a brown leather wallet stuffed with $4,000, and he doesn't regret a single second of what he did next. Because here's the truth that this story is really about, and listen closely because this is the part that matters. Integrity is not something you perform when people are watching. It's what you do when nobody is. When it costs you, when you're exhausted and behind on rent and the world feels like it's been unfair to you for a long time. And something lands in your hands that could fix everything right now. That's the moment that defines you, not your job title, not your bank account, not what you have or what you've lost. The moment when you could take and you give back instead. That moment, that's who you actually are. And the universe has a funny way of noticing.